Welcome to Faithline. Listen to this while you're driving, relaxing, working, or winding down. Imagine a place unlike anything you've ever seen. A garden where every tree is heavy with life. Colors shine brighter than the morning sun, and the air hums with energy. This is Eden, the place God created for humanity's first steps. It was perfect, untouched by sin, filled with purpose, beauty, and endless possibility. But within this perfection lies a story far more fascinating and complex than many of us were taught as children. In the heart of this garden, God placed the man, Adam, forming him from the dust of the earth. But even in paradise, something was missing. Adam needed companionship, someone who would share in the stewardship of this magnificent world. So God created Eve, carefully, purposefully, as a partner. Together, they were given freedom to enjoy the abundance of Eden, with just one boundary. They could eat from every tree except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That single restriction carried a weight far beyond what we often realize. The garden itself was alive, almost conscious. Every stream, every breeze, and every leaf seemed to whisper life and wisdom. Eden wasn't just a home. It was a school, a place to learn about God, about creation, and about themselves. Adam and Eve walked through it with curiosity, discovering patterns, exploring the hidden wonders of the land, and enjoying unbroken fellowship with their Creator. But this paradise also contained the seed of choice. Enter the serpent, cunning and intelligent, a creature unlike any other. The Bible describes it as more crafty than all the beasts of the field, but there's a subtlety here often missed. The serpent wasn't merely a talking animal. It represented temptation, doubt, and the challenge to question God's authority. It approached Eve not with brute force, but with persuasive words, twisting truth into something appealing and seemingly reasonable. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree? It asked. Eve responded correctly, clarifying God's command. But the serpent persisted, planting seeds of curiosity, doubt, and desire for knowledge beyond what God had intended. What happened next is often misunderstood. Eve saw that the fruit was beautiful, appealing to her senses, and promised wisdom. The serpent suggested that eating would elevate her, make her like God, understanding good and evil firsthand. It wasn't just a warning ignored. It was a subtle appeal to pride, ambition, and the natural human curiosity to know more than we are allowed. In that moment, Eve made a choice, one that seemed small but carried unimaginable consequences. She reached, touched, and ate. Then she gave the fruit to Adam, who also chose to eat. What really happened when they ate the fruit? It wasn't just about breaking a rule. It was a rupture in relationship, an awakening of self-consciousness and moral awareness. For the first time, Adam and Eve realized their nakedness, their vulnerability, and the complexity of their choices. Fear, shame, and guilt entered into human experience for the first time. The garden, once open and intimate, suddenly felt like a place of judgment. Their perfect innocence was gone. God's response was not immediate anger, but a measured confrontation. He asked simple questions. Where are you? And who told you that you were naked? These questions reveal a deeper truth. The problem wasn't the fruit itself. It was the shift in heart, the turning away from God's guidance, and the embrace of self-directed choice. They tried to hide, not because God didn't see them, but because they now saw themselves differently. This moment marks the beginning of human responsibility, the weight of choice, and the understanding that actions carry consequences. Then came the curses, often misunderstood as punishment alone. The serpent was cursed to crawl on its belly, representing the distortion of trust and deception. Eve and all women were told that life would be accompanied by pain, especially in childbirth, reflecting the weight of responsibility and struggle in human experience. Adam would toil and sweat for sustenance, experiencing the labor necessary to maintain life in a world now marked by imperfection. But even in these declarations, there was hope, a promise that the story was not over, a hint of redemption yet to come. The expulsion from the garden is often portrayed as a dramatic removal, but it was also protective. God placed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard Eden, ensuring that humanity could not return in their fallen state. This was not abandonment. It was the beginning of a journey. Adam and Eve had to learn, struggle, and grow outside the perfection of Eden, cultivating wisdom, humility, and reliance on God in ways impossible within paradise. Even in this story, there is more than tragedy. There is insight into human nature, the power of choice, and the complexity of morality. The garden wasn't simply lost because of disobedience. It was lost because humanity began to understand freedom, desire, and consequence. Every human experience, from joy to suffering, can be traced back to that moment of awakening in Eden. Curiosity, ambition, fear, love, and courage all stem from the choices made there. But the story of Eden is not just ancient history. It is a mirror. Each of us faces gardens of our own, moments of choice that test trust, patience, and wisdom. Temptation is subtle, often appealing to what seems reasonable or desirable. The lessons of Eve's experience remind us that curiosity, when untethered from guidance and humility, can lead to consequences we never imagined. Yet awareness, repentance, and reflection open a path back toward life, understanding, and redemption. And there's one more detail often overlooked: the relationship between Adam and Eve. This wasn't simply a story of disobedience. It was the beginning of human companionship, intimacy, and partnership. Their journey outside the garden was shared. They faced challenges together, learned responsibility together, and began the human story as a team, imperfect but committed. This teaches us that life's trials are meant to be navigated in relationship, with love, patience, and shared purpose. Eden, in all its beauty, remains a symbol of what God intended, what humans lost, and what can be regained through wisdom, humility, and obedience. It reminds us that life is a balance between freedom and responsibility, curiosity and discernment, desire and discipline. And every choice we make echoes the lessons of that first garden. So as you reflect on this story, imagine walking through Eden yourself. Feel the air, see the trees, and sense the opportunity and responsibility. Think about the choices you face in your own life, the temptations that test your heart, and the wisdom that guides your steps. The Garden of Eve is more than a story. It's a living lesson about human nature, consequence, and the possibility of redemption. And as you listen, whether you're driving, relaxing, or winding down, let this story remind you. Life is full of choices, some small, some monumental. But in every choice, there is the possibility to grow, to learn, and to return to the path of life, wisdom, and faithfulness. Thank you for staying with us till the end. Make sure to subscribe for more shocking Bible facts.